Press it a second time. Setting up the meeting on Facebook.
It says here, meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Which is what we want.
Yeah.
So I've got Facebook open in 2 different places at the moment. So I'm seeing when it actually pops up there. So if it's saying it's streaming, then we're just gonna go on with it. Okay, so my name's Tyson Franklin. I'm the host of the Podiatry Legends Podcast and also the admin on the Podiatry Business Owners Club Facebook page. We're heading towards the end of 2020. It's been a very, very interesting year. So I thought it'd be great to get Deb Johnstone on. Now, if you don't know who Deb is my mindset coach, and Deb has been on my podcast, episode 89, and it was titled Deb Johnstone is my mindset coach. So it was a very original title. And so Deb has got a planner or like a diary that helps people get stuff done. And we thought there's still 2 months left of 2020. So we can talk about that a little bit, but also how the planner that Deb has organized, how that will actually help people get more done in 2021. So go for it, Deb.
Okay, I think one of the first things that's important for me to mention here is that one of the biggest struggles that I see with all business owners in any kind of business, whether it's a practice, whether it's a clinic, whether it's a product business, whether it's a coaching business, whatever kind of business it is, one of the biggest things I see them struggle with is their time management and having what they call a work-life balance. And this is one of the main reasons that I developed the planner. Here's the planner, because yes. I burned out. I burned out 5 years ago. Because
when you say burnout, what does burnout mean to you? Just so other people can relate to that.
I had adrenal and chronic fatigue. So I got to the point where I couldn't go to sleep. I found it hard to sleep. I couldn't switch off my mind. I felt anxious. And I went to see a lot because I'm quite alternative, as you know, Tyson. I can be a little bit woo-woo. Yeah,
I do. I talk about every now and then. You'll mention something to me, and I go, "Oh, we're talking about voodoo again, Deb. That's good."
So I went to see healers, and we took a look. We did lots of different things, and in the end, one of my healers said to me, "I think this is physical, Deb." So I went to the doctors and I was diagnosed with adrenal and chronic fatigue. Now that was 5 years ago, and that's when I developed the planner. Because what I noticed when I went into my own business was that I had no structure, and my days would just regularly blow out. I was working 6 to 7 days a week. I wasn't taking breaks. I was eating in front of my computer every single meal. I was just dashing from one place to another, and I couldn't sleep. So I mean, you know what? If you've been in that position where you've suffered with insomnia, like, man, the more often you go without sleep, you cannot think straight, and it makes it worse. So
it is true. You do. Yeah. They say sometimes like lack of sleep is almost as bad as if you're driving very tired, that's as bad as driving drunk, because your brain's just not switched on.
It's not switched on. And you can understand why they use sleep deprivation as a way of torturing people.
Oh, yeah.
You can understand it. It's so anyway, this is the reason I developed the planner. I actually developed it for me to start with. And it started with receiving a gift of a planner from a close friend of ours, Tyson, Kerry Brown.
Yeah.
She gave me a gift of a planner. And when I used her planner, I'm like, oh God, this is brilliant. This is what I've been needing. But I could see that there was so much more that was needed in it to help people create a balanced life that was totally unique to them. And I think this is one of the misconceptions around balance. We seem to have this idea that it needs to be like a set of scales, and it's just like this. And everyone's life needs to be balanced in the same way. I've seen balance wheels where it says you need to give time to your health, you need to give time to your career, you need to give time to your relationships. It's probably true, but it's different for everybody. And I think that's where a lot of people shy away from that sort of thing, is they think they have to conform to a certain way of thinking or a certain standard. And it's not about that. It's about finding out what is important to you and then balancing your life and your business so that it encompasses all those things that are important to you. Because one of the reasons we do burn out is that we are not allowing time for all those things and we're feeling deprived. That's one of the reasons we burn out.
Is it sometimes going back to the burnout though, is we're trying to live up to other people's expectations, what they expect from us, and how, you're in a certain profession, for example, say podiatry, and you'll see podiatrists that may have been doing podiatry much longer than you. Yeah. And you'll see the success that they have and you go, oh, well, when I've been out for 5 years, that's where I should be. And when I've been out 10 years, this is where I should be. And if you're not there, all of a sudden you start putting more pressure on yourself, thinking that's where I should be. But they don't realize that everybody's road to get somewhere. Some people have a very easy pathway at the start. It might get harder later. Some people just have a cruisy career. It's just right place, right time. But also there's work that went in behind. I don't believe anybody ever gets an easy ride all the way through their career.
No.
But we all take, it takes time, a different time for each of us to achieve certain things.
I agree. And also remember that we're all different behavior types, right? Some behavior types love the big fast change and they just fly with it. They just fly with it, and they can quite happily go from 0 to 100,000 in 6 months and not even think twice about it. They just go with the flow. Whereas another behavior style that likes small bites of change would be totally overwhelmed with that. So for me, for instance, that took me a long time before I got to that stage. I remember you used to say to me, Tyson, how come you haven't got GST on your invoices? Remember that?
I do remember that. I said, but just want to point out that I'll be getting invoices from you, but there's no GST. And he said, well, they don't turn over enough money to charge GST.
That's right. So it took me a number of years to get to that stage. Yeah.
Because back then, what was it? You had if you weren't turning over more than $50,000 or $80,000, you didn't have to charge GST.
70. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
70.
and a lot of businesses and a lot of solopreneurs or just solo business owners were just staying under that threshold because it was a lifestyle business, so they didn't need to charge it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, so that's how long it took me. It took me, and it took me a few years until I got to that stage. So some people like, smaller chunks of change, and that change. Yeah, smaller chunks of change, not money change, but change. Yeah. So, so that's why a planner can really, really help with this. But a planner's so much more than a diary. It's not about just writing a list of all the things you've got to do that week and just scheduling it in each day. So a true planner that helps you balance your life and helps you achieve more in less time, because when our life's balanced, we can achieve more in less time. A planner that does that has a hell of a lot more than that. And that's why I've put so much in my planner. It's more of a personal development tool. So to give you an example. Yeah, I'll give you an example. So the planner starts with this.
The big picture.
Yeah, the big picture. So remember how I talked about the balance wheel, and you see these generic wheels that have got relationship, career, health. Yeah. Not everyone values the same things. So that's why this wheel is blank. It's blank and you fill it in. So
you fill in what's important to you.
Yes. That's the difference. And this was, this is one of the biggest insights that one of my trainers gave to me, my NLP trainer, Alice Hammerley. The insight she gave to me is that balance is different for everyone. And she told me that a few years ago. And when I learned that, it changed the way I was managing myself. It changed the way I was planning my days out. Well, I actually started planning my days out, which before I hadn't been.
Yeah.
It changed the way I was setting my goals. My goal setting changed. So it's about starting by getting clear on what is important to you and looking at how fulfilled you are in each of those aspects of your life.
Because I remember when people used to show you go along to a motivational thing, and this is why I used to joke about voodoo and sacrificing goats and things like that, because they'd have that wheel up there and they go, oh, you've got this balance in the spiritual side and the health side. And I'd get to my spiritual side and it was like, like someone taking a big chunk out of it, someone taking a piece of cake out of it. It was gone. Because to me, that wasn't a big aspect. But I know for some other people, that is a really important aspect to them. And there's other sides where it might be the business side of things. It isn't overly important to them. So I can see when you're locked in that you must have these things in your wheel, where it can be a bit of a pain in the ass, but you're saying create the wheel on what's important to you based on your beliefs and values.
Yeah, based on your beliefs and values, what's important to you. And then when you set goals around things that are important to you, you naturally feel inspired. You don't have to use all these different gimmicks to motivate yourself, because just the fact that your goals are set around the things that are really important to you, you feel inspired, you feel motivated naturally.
Yeah, I've gone to conferences when people are standing on chairs and they're all happy clapping, you know, like a cult. And I've been there and I've enjoyed the conference. And somebody said, God, aren't you excited? And I go, look, I'm excited on the inside. And in a week's time, when I'm at home by myself, I'm still going to be bloody excited.
Yeah.
I said, whereas you're going to have to ring up 100 mates, get them around to your house, all stand on your furniture and start jumping around.
Yeah.
So everybody is motivated differently. Some people need that, you know, like motivational music or watching a motivational movie or something like that. Well, or you can be motivated internally. Yeah.
Yeah, you can be motivated. And when you know, especially around goals, there's some people set goals and they go, oh, no, I don't really want to do that.
Oh, isn't that everyone's favorite topic? They go, oh, we do goal setting. Everyone goes, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's meant to be an exciting and inspiring time, because it's your time to design what you want your next year to look like.
That's
you
funny.
know what you want
That's
your
really
next
funny.
5 years to look like.
It's really funny that you put it in that context, that when you talk about, hey, let's talk about your goals, and I go, oh,
yes.
Whereas it should be something, oh yeah, let's talk about my goals. It should really be something that excites you to talk about your goals.
Yeah.
Well, most people get more excited about what they're doing on Saturday night than they do about their goals.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of that is because, you know, they set goals that they see as unattainable as well. That's another thing that can be the problem there. So that they've got their big picture goals, but they're not breaking them down into a pattern that can actually, that are of smaller achievements, shorter term achievements that can help them achieve that bigger goal, which again, a good planner will help you through that process. So it will help you break them down so that you end up with goals for each week that help you achieve that bigger picture, so that you've always got the bigger picture in sight. Not that you're always focusing on it, because it's important that you bring your focus to the step that you're on. But you always know, because you've broken it down in a really effective way, you know that every smaller goal that you're achieving on a weekly basis is taking you to that bigger picture goal.
Is that part of the problem though? People have tried goal setting in the past, failed, and they go, I can't see the point in setting goals because I always fail. But I remember someone, I think it might have been Jason Cunningham, who was also on the podcast, who was a legend who's not a podiatrist. And I'm pretty sure it's in his book. And he said something about if you just look at what you've achieved in 12 months, some people go, oh, I really didn't achieve too much. But if you have a look at where you are right now and you go back 10 years, a decade ago, and see where you were in your life, how much you have progressed over that 10-year period, you'll be surprised what you know now, what you learn, how far you've come financially, spiritually, if that's what it is, physically and all that. But by having more goals in place and actually working towards it, you probably could achieve more if you push yourself just that little bit more. Yeah,
it's so true. It is so true. And the times when we miss our targets, when we do that kind of reflection, which is in the planner, that's what we do every year. We reflect back over the year.
Yeah.
When we don't meet our targets, they're quite often the times when we gain the most, when we actually learn the most. And I know that there's so many people out there that say this. It's like, you know, there's a gift in every challenge. There's a gift in every goal that's missed. There's a, you know, failure is part of success, and all those different quotes that we hear. But it is actually true. The times that I haven't reached my targets have been the times when I've received the most growth. The times that I haven't reached my targets have been the times where my direction has shifted just slightly, that have helped me achieve, and it's helped me achieve even better than I thought I was going to achieve originally. So
hey, we've got a question on Facebook here. It's from Mike Luca. I know Mike. And it says, what are some of your goals to complete before the end of the year?
My goals.
Yeah.
Okay, my goals to complete before the end of the year. So I have a community on Facebook that I have a goal to reach 1,000 in that community, and we only started the community this year.
Yeah.
I actually don't have a financial goal this year. It's the first year that I don't have a financial goal. My goal for the end of the year is to have 6 people enrolled in one of my new programs that launched this year, that is already running with a group of women in it. What is another goal? You're having me roll off.
Oh no, well, one of mine is I need to complete the first draft of my next book.
Yeah.
That was one we were talking about that the other day. Yeah. And that's one of the big things. And my other goal before the end of the year was I wanted to hit 5,000 downloads for the month on the Podiatry Legends podcast. So I wanted to do that before the 31st of December. So I've been pushing towards that, promoting a little bit, but it looks like I might do it this month.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Then I can just concentrate on finishing this bloody book.
Yeah, fantastic. And you will, and I know you will.
Oh, I know the book will get done, but it's just, but it is, you've just got to have those things. And Mike, I apologize if we got to your question late, because there is a delay between us live and Facebook live.
Yeah.
And also me remembering to look at Facebook when the question popped up. So I apologize. Yeah. So keep going, Deb.
Yeah. And I think, you know, another goal of mine is I think I've got a number of planners that I want to sell by the end of this year too.
Yeah.
So
people in Australia can easily order the planner from you?
Yeah, you can get the printed version in Australia really easily. Actually, there's only a really limited number available now, because I've done the print run and there'll probably be about 15 left. So, so you can order this really easily just by going to my website. I've got a shop on my website, and the postage is already included. So the postage is $10 anywhere in Australia. If you're overseas, I do have people overseas that buy the planner. Just email me, letting me know the country you're in, and I'll give you a quote for the postage. Or you can buy the PDF downloadable version and go and get it.
Okay. So your website is just debjohnstone.com?
Yeah, debjohnston.com.au. So
okay. See, I planned ahead for that. I should know it. It's just sometimes people just use the .com. Like I've got the domain name tysonfranklin.com and .com.au, but I just use the .com one all the time. So it's like a habit now of just saying that.
It's .com.au. You actually can get to it with .com as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, you can get to it with that as well. So, yeah, and I think like you were talking about this year, like this year has been really different as well. And I think that's where it's important a lot of people just ditch their goals. I think it's important in those sort of situations to still have goals. It's important to still have goals. You notice that I don't have a financial goal this year.
Yeah.
And the reason being of what's happened this year. So I've given
But earlier on too, you said something about in your planner, you have a section where you reflect on the year. And I've heard people say that sometimes that when you're setting your goals for next year, instead of just setting new goals, how about going back and finishing some of the ones you didn't do this year?
Yeah.
So is that where the reflection part comes in?
That's where the reflection part comes in. The reflection part goes through, you know, what have you achieved? What didn't you achieve just yet? And I always use the word yet, because that doesn't mean that you can't achieve it just because you haven't achieved it by that deadline. Yeah. Sometimes we might just be a little out with our timing, and that is okay. Just because we haven't achieved it by a certain date doesn't mean we're not going to achieve it. it may be not relevant anymore. So it may actually be a goal that's not relevant anymore. And that is also a question in the planner. Is it still relevant? Is it something you want to carry forward?
Do people sometimes make that as a mistake where they've had a goal, they've pushed really hard towards it, they may not have reached it, but in hindsight, if they did some reflection, they realize, well, hang on, that goal's not as important now because other things are. But they then keep thinking, oh, but I've put too much into it now, I have to keep going. Whereas it's okay to just go, that goal doesn't suit anymore, just move on to the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really, and when you do that kind of reflection, it's really important to also ask ourselves, am I just letting myself off? Or is this really not relevant anymore? Do I really not want this?
Got another question from Mike. It's a tough one. He's getting tougher. Thanks, Mike. Let's go here. What do you think of having a financial advisor to help with financial goals?
I think that's a great idea.
I think if you're not quite sure about where you want to be financially, like I've had financial advisors at different periods. I haven't had one that I've had constantly. I've had different financial advisors at different times to help guide me through a certain part. But yeah, I think it's always good to talk to a financial advisor, and just especially if you're not quite sure where you should be going financially.
I think the important part here is to decide on the outcome that you want financially, and then go to a financial advisor or planner and ask them, how do I get there?
Yeah. And I used to, one of my tips too, when a financial planner advises you into something, say, that is fantastic. Show me how many you've got.
Yeah.
So if they say to you, oh, you should invest in this managed fund, you go, that's awesome. Can you show me your investments on how much you have invested in that particular fund? Because if they've got no skin in the game themselves, then, and also I think they have to divulge now. If I'm wrong, someone can type something in. But I think if there's commissions involved now when they're selling something, they must divulge that there's a commission.
Yeah, I think
because many years ago there used to be, trees. You could invest in trees, ostrich eggs, wineries, and nursing homes. How does a nursing home fail? Now wouldn't be a good time, but it's I just think, and ask around if I think if you're looking for a financial planner, is talk to other people that have financial planners.
I agree.
And say, what do you like about them? What do you not like about them? And I really think referral, just like finding a good podiatrist. If a patient wants a good podiatrist, word of mouth is a great way of finding one.
Yeah, I think, that's a great idea. I know that I read Tony Robbins' book on money, and I know in there he mentions something about finding a fiduciary financial planner where they're not attached to any particular fund,
Yeah.
I don't know about that in Australia. I don't know how that works in Australia, but truly, I think it's really important to get a financial planner by referral, honestly, because you want someone who walks their talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
definitely.
Done it.
And also look at their car. Like if you got a financial planner who's driving a Datsun 180B full of rust, unless he's got a great home and all that as well, and cars aren't important, but if he's driving a shitbox, that's never a good sign. So, okay, Deb, we should keep moving on because I know we're limited for time.
So absolutely, with finances, because finance is an important thing. It's it is a strong leverage point for other things that we want to do, obviously, other goals that we set for other aspects of life. Same as our health is an important thing. It's a number one leverage point for everything else that we want to achieve in life as well. So it is maybe important to possibly consider those leverage points that do have a big influence over other aspects of your life. So say, for instance, if you've got poor health, then you're not going to be able to grow your practice to the speed that you want to build it. And the same financially, that might slow the way you build your practice down, if you need to invest a fair bit of money to get set up. So those sort of things are, they do have a fairly big leverage point. But health, I would say, probably more so than finances, have the biggest leverage point, because
I think if you're not looking, there's no point making a lot of money if your health is no good, that you're never going to enjoy it.
No, that's
right. And I think early on in my career, I really sacrificed my health to just working really long hours, and I wasn't feeling best. And even back then, I was still playing football, but yeah, I probably got injured because of lack of sleep and just getting out of the game and being tired. But yeah, and the older I get, the more now that I realize how health is super important.
Your body tells you.
I'm a little bit chubby at the moment. This is my COVID weight.
But your body tells you, doesn't it? It's like, when you've really challenged your health system, it's kind of, I know for me, if I overdo it one week, my body will tell me, it'll just go, stop, I'm not getting off the couch.
Yeah, that is so true. So with your plan, like, can you take us through the sections, like what you have in the plan, or how people, well, what you've got? Yeah, I'll shut up.
Okay. All right. So it's a big book. It's like over 200 pages, right? So you get the big picture where you develop your own wheel. You then describe what you want your 5-year vision to look like. So we're not talking about dot points here. That's the most unmotivated way to write a goal, is with a dot point, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking, this is a story. This is about starting a story. And this actually has more pages in it now. This is an old one because I've sold out of this year's. So this is an old one. In the new version, there's a couple of extra pages here for you to continue writing your 5-year vision.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple pages more to create a vision board in there as well. So something that's visual that you can actually look at, pictures, that sort of thing.
So this planner is not the sort of thing that you carry around in your backpack or handbag every day with you. It sits at your desk. It's one of those things you sit down, you spend some time working on it. And then you walk away from it and you go and do what you need to do. You can have your to-do lists and other things on your phone, your computer remind you to do things, but this planner is something that sits more on your desk and you're reflecting on it each day. It's not something you're carrying around with you.
No, it's not an appointment diary. You don't carry it around with you. It's something that you look at the beginning of the day to get you set for the day, that you know what you're
focusing on. So is there a diary section in there? Do people use this as a diary as well?
Yeah. So it goes through goal setting, writing SMART goals. You then write your 12-month goals for the year. You then write your 6-month goals. So we really break it down. You then write your goals for the first 90 days. So
that group I was on with you last week.
Yeah, that's the membership.
That's all these people that were on that call, on that Zoom call. They're all people that've got the planner.
Yeah.
And you invited me in because you know that I know how the planner works.
Yeah.
And now I've committed myself to actually saying something I was going to achieve in 30 days. So
you've asked for accountability.
I made myself accountable to everybody. Damn it. Damn you, Deb Johnstone.
When I saw you were joining us, I'm like, yes. So you break your goals down for 90 days. So it's not just business goals here, they're goals for your personal life as well. And then we go down into your goals for the month. So we break down to the goals for the month. We do a bit of brainstorming. And then, I've done a little bit of shading in here. And then you go to your goals for the week. So you have personal goals for the week, business goals for the week, or work goals. It doesn't have to be used for business. And then you have this really cool timeline that I would not be without. So every single day goes from 5 in the morning until 10 at night.
And so it should.
Yeah. Because remember, this is for personal life too, not just business. So
yeah. And I've seen it with a lot of diaries. The diary starts at like 7 a.m. till like 6 p.m. And I've gone, well, what about the rest of my life?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I do a lot before 7 and there's a lot that's happening after 6 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
nothing good happens after really 10 p.m.
No, that's my bedtime. If I'm not in bed before that. So you've got, this is where you schedule in, time for all those important things in your life so that you do actually make space for things. Because I really want to state this is that when we do that, even when we think we don't have time because there's so much going on in our business, when we do that, it actually energizes us. So we energize because we're fulfilling the areas of life that are important to us. When we feel energized, we achieve more in less time. I have proved this to be true. It is an absolute true theory. It works.
Oh, yeah. No doubt that when you're energized, you get more done. And when you've got a positive mindset, you get more done than when you don't. And it's I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So when we get to the end of June, so the middle of the year, there's a reflection. We were talking about reflection. So I call it a check-in point. So there's a reflection for personal and business in there. And so you can, adjust your goals if you need to. Sometimes we're a little bit off with our dates and we just need to adjust them. Because this is really about supporting you completely to achieve your goals.
When it comes to goal setting, though, some people, the reason they don't not so much succeed or they don't achieve what they set out to do, and then they start kicking themselves in the bum about it, is they try and bite off too much.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so in 12 months they go, oh, it's January 2021, so by December 31st, 2021, I'm going to take my clinic from $400,000 a year to $2 million.
Yeah.
And you go, and it's not saying that you can't do that, but it may be unlikely. But at the same time, they want to go from 90 kilos down to 75 and they want to run a marathon.
Yeah.
So and you go, well, it's not hard. It's hard to do.
That's right. Exactly right. Yeah. And that's another important part of the planning process is that things are prioritized. So make sure we prioritize things and that we don't try to cram in too much. So you notice in the 90-day sections, there's only space for 4 goals, both for business and for personal. We don't go more than that. Sometimes I do have a couple more than that, but that is what I encourage people to do. You don't have more than 4 major goals that you're working on in any 90-day period.
Do you have a section in there where if ideas just pop into people's head that they write things down in or anything like that?
Yeah, there's notes pages, brainstorming pages, and there's a big reflection page at the end of the year. So, and what we were talking about.
You said you have 15 left?
Yeah, they'll only be, once they get here, there'll only be 15 left. So, I don't print huge amounts because I don't have the space to store that amount. So, but there's always a PDF available if you're prepared to print and bind them yourself, which is pretty simple to do. But it's really with that goal setting. You said sometimes we bite off more than we can chew. That's why it's really so essential that we learn how to set goals effectively. And that's why I've recorded. There's 12 tutorial videos that go with this, so that it takes through the goal setting process.
So when you get the planner, you then go, is that like probably on your website? I assume. Is it like a password in the planner?
No,
go and watch these videos, or
no, you just automatically get an invite into the private Facebook group.
Oh, okay, and then the videos are in there.
And all the videos are in there,
So it's like how I've got the Podiatry Business Spartans membership group. You've got it set up in units. Where you've got those units where those videos are actually in there. Those unit things are really cool.
And there's actually not in units because I did that well before units were a thing on Facebook. So, it's actually all set up on a private unlisted link on YouTube, I think. And there's there's links inside the group to go to the videos to do the tutorial videos.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, because I know I'm just checking on how long we've been going for now, because I said we would only go for about half an hour. We've been going for 34 minutes.
Wow.
Well, probably a little bit longer because I think Facebook is slightly delayed. And we were talking a little bit before, which will go on.
We talk a lot, don't we?
which will end up over on the YouTube thing, the YouTube video. Have you got a final tip about goal setting for everybody if they just something they can leave with and go, yep, okay, I need to get my act together? Or they go, I want to grab one of the planners and get myself sorted out.
Yeah, Yeah, one tip about goal. There's so many tips. One tip about goal setting is learn more about it. Learn more about goal setting. Don't just think it is writing a dot point and saying by this day I will have this, or that is not an effective goal. It doesn't work. It doesn't inspire you. It doesn't motivate you. And it certainly isn't written in a way that communicates directly with your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is the part of you that gets in the way. So really important.
I think that's a great way to finish. So I'm going to end the Facebook Live video. So Deb, thank you. If anyone wants to send you an email, is there a easy email address that they can just note down? Yeah, and I'll put it in the notes afterwards anyway.
Okay. success@debjohnston.com.au.
success@debjohnston.com.au. That's easy. Okay, Deb, so I'm going to stop the live stream. We'll keep talking for a little bit.
Thank you for your questions, Mike.
Yeah. Let me just check before I finish. He hasn't asked anything else. No, he just asked the 2 questions. But if anyone's watching this on Facebook and you have any other questions, type them into the comments and I will pass them on to Deb anyway, and Deb will be able to answer them afterwards. Yeah. So I'm just going to press stop the live stream.